Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday, Success Thursday, here on the podcast this week with Cynthia Krakmer. Hey, Cynthia, welcome back.
Thank you, Vasco. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Pleasure to have you here. So we're going to dive into success in a little minute. But before we do share with us, Cynthia, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
Yeah, that's a good question because there are so many different ways to do a retrospective. But I think that for me, the format that I like is actually starting by recognizing people. What is everybody in the team bringing? Because very often people are very good at doing something or they've just helped me somewhere. And this has made my day so much nicer, so much, so much easier. So starting by recognizing our team members and the great people we have in a team, it's always the case, to be honest. If the team is quite new, there could be also an icebreaker. I think that always helps to also sort of reconnect with the fact that we're all humans. We'll have some things we like outside of jobs, families, friends, etc. So I would say icebreaker, then some gratefulness time just to recognize the great people we have in a team, and then I would go through the usual questions of what's working well in the way we're working, what doesn't, and make it actionable about, okay, so how do we sustain the good practices and how do we improve the ones that are not working?
So in that approach to retrospectives, what do you think are the key things that a Scrum Master should be aware of? I can immediately recognize the idea of using an icebreaker, and there's plenty of them out there that help teams kind of get familiar with the idea of talking together, but also to kind of transport themselves into the retrospective, right? Like kind of to forget the busyness that is going on outside the room and kind of land in the retrospective to be open to discuss those things. But what are some of the tips that you have to share with us regarding this format that you shared?
So I would say in terms of a Scrum Master, how you could succeed in this format is what you mentioned. It's make it as a ritual. People need to disconnect from all priorities and busy schedules they have and make the time here to commit to the teams and to learning as a team. So I think that's for me really important. And as a Scrum Master, showing that there is a process with several questions that are planned for the session. Also sort of saying, I forget about time. I'm responsible for time. It could be some timekeeping. If the Scrum Master doesn't want to do it, it could be somebody else. But really sort of boxing time in a way that people feel they can just disconnect from everything else. They are in good hands with the Scrum Master and they know that it will finish on time. I think that's a key success factor. I think as a Scrum Master, it's really important also to understand if the psychological safety exists in a team. And typically, depending on the team, icebreakers and speaking about personal life can be quite tricky. It can be also sometimes a bit inappropriate in certain cultures. So I think it's really sort of having this understanding and not putting people in a very uncomfortable position where they feel they have to expose themselves. So I think there are different tips about it. The Scrum Master can also announce, these are the questions I will ask you. This is a specific personal question. If you feel like preparing before you share, you can. Another thing that I wanted to share typically is if you want people to be on camera because you're working with a remote team, as we are chatting with you, Vasco, it's also if you want people to be on camera, just make sure you tell them if you think that they can be surprised or in pajama and they don't feel like being in pajama in front of their colleagues. These are all things where you help people not being on the spot and being surprised by something they are not ready.
Yeah,
And
don't
so I think,
never
yeah.
surprise people. That's a very
Yeah, or
good
never
point.
surprise people. Yeah, exactly. Because I think there are sometimes nice surprises, but there are also surprises that expose people, and people are different. They have different level of comforts about how they look, how they speak. So I think it's really like making sure that the space for people is comfortable, and that's how people can open up and really focus on what do we want to get out of this retrospective, mostly learning and improve how we work together and feel recognized.
Absolutely. And that's actually a great point to focus the icebreaker on. The icebreaker should be there not only to disconnect, but to make people feel comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So we do the retros, of course, because we want teams to succeed, and
Hmm.
therefore also ourselves, we want to succeed. So
Yeah.
let's share that now, Cynthia. Share with us, what's your definition of what success means for a Scrum Master?
Hmm. Um, so I believe the what success means for a Scrum Master is when a Scrum Master isn't needed, and because for me, a Scrum Master is here to ensure that things are happening, but it doesn't mean that the retrospective needs to be done by the Scrum Master. So being able to see a team grow and become self-sufficient, and maybe I mean, like, or either having a new Scrum Master coming and see this person sort of jumping in and learning. I think for me, this is the success. It's um, it's becoming, it's making people not rely on us, but having adopted all the agile values and principles to do the work without a Scrum Master. But I'm not sure if everybody might agree on the on the line
So
here.
that's a great answer, and we've heard it here before. But of course, what that means for all of us is
Hmm.
different.
Yeah,
So share with
indeed.
us, Cynthia, what do you see the teams that are self-sufficient? How do they show it? What do they do that tell you that they are
Hmm.
either getting ready to become or are already becoming self-sufficient?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, it's so teams who would have clarity of the purpose, sort of really articulated around the value they are creating to a client. Um, Clear roles also. So if the product owner and the Scrum Master are doing their role in an effective way, if the teams comes prepared, is engaged, is highlighting risk, is escalating relevant information. If the team is proactive, and if the team makes time also to reflect and learn and act upon these learnings, for me that would be already a lot of boxes ticked, and I would probably, if I have seen them from A to B and arriving to maturity, I would feel very proud.
I really like how you describe it. Starting from understanding, right? Are they able to even define value? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
they have a purpose. Okay, fine. But is the purpose around the value that they need to deliver? Or is
yeah,
it something else?
exactly.
Because if it's not aligned with the
Hmm.
value that they need to deliver, then there's a problem. Maybe the
Yeah,
product owner is absent, or maybe they don't understand why they are developing what they are developing. Could be many reasons.
exactly. Exactly. But I think also for me, whenever also another key thing is when the team says we can do it on our own. I think having the team express the fact that they feel ready is also really powerful. And it also means that they know you won't take it personally. It's not about me, it's about them. And it's about them feeling ready and not needing that support anymore. And this is just
So tell
massive.
me a little bit
Yeah.
more about that, Cynthia. What are you looking for? Like, because there's many ways to say we are ready, right? Like there's of course
Yes.
verbal ways to say it. There's also non-verbal ways to say it. So
Hmm.
what are you looking for as a Scrum Master when you ask yourself, is this team ready to take it on their own? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. Um, I will I will observe how people um act during a meeting and in between meetings. I think it would be seeing, do they need to be reminded some things, or do they think by themselves that they need to escalate that or challenge maybe the product owner on a story definition because from a technical perspective it's not feasible. I would see, is there this sort of constructive dialogue happening in a team? I will see if everybody is included, because I think that satisfaction we can see with if people are on camera, or even if people are on mute, we can see if everybody speaks or not. Is everybody part of the conversation? And that's also something I would look. I would also see if there is any support mechanism happening in the team, like typically, hey, you're struggling with that, I can help you with. That would be also another sign I would look at. And then also making time for learning, because if the team makes time, I think it means they got it. They got the value of learning from what works well, what doesn't, etc.
That's a wonderful checklist. So all of you listening, you might want to go back about 60 seconds or so and listen to that list and write it down. That was a wonderful self-reflection checklist as well. So thank you for sharing, Cynthia.
Thank you, Vasco.
Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.